Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the new evolutions and upgrades that have just gone live in North America. So, first things first is we have Kenshin, and Kenshin has received a brand new weapon assist, and he was already arguably the most useful of the Samurai 3 Pantheon, and with this new weapon assist, he has even more usability. So, he gives sub-attribute change to water, and this is invaluable for cards who deal huge amounts of damage, and their sub-attribute can actually contribute something meaningful. Tape resist 2 seconds of movement time, and Enhanced Heart of Awakening. And I like Enhanced Heart of Awakenings because if you put this on a card with even just modest RCV, you will see a noticeable increase in your healing potential. And my logic is, if you have enough health to survive the largest reasonable hit in the dungeon, you want RCV as high as you possibly can to, restore your health after getting hit. And then the active skill gives you 1 turn of 100% damage immunity, which could be situationally helpful, and you get 9 fire, water, and light orbs, which may or may not be that great, but I feel like it's more so for the actual awakenings you're using it for, and I guess if you're desperate, that 1 extra turn of stalling. Gaslowe, which is a farmable card, has received a new weapon assist, which is interesting. It's double skill bind resist, double TPA with a devil typing, and teams that could utilize this are obviously any TPA-oriented team, especially those who are lacking Skillbind resist. I know if you have an army of Halloween Cottons, Skillbind resist may become a bit of an issue. This might be a solution, perhaps. At least it's farmable, so that means, everyone can, in theory, have it. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then Kenshin also received an upgrade to his existing highest evolution form. Got 4 skill boosts, you got triple God Killer, you have the Brick Awakening, and in addition you have the Brick Super Awakening. So right away you have 144 times personal damage from blobbing 12 or more water orbs. On top of that, you have 3 God Killers, which is 27 times personal damage. So 27 times 144 is an extremely large number. So if you're fighting gods and it's a super gravity dungeon, Kenshin is going to be an unbelievably powerful solution there. But the fun doesn't stop there. He has a monstrously large attack set. If you throw on a sub-attribute, generator, maybe his own weapon assist, who knows? The RCV is kind of wasted on his no RCV stat. But throw in a sub-attribute on him, and suddenly you're dealing monstrous amounts of damage against God-type spawns on both main and sub-attribute, and their active skill is a 2-turn cooldown now that gives you 1 turn of damage absorption cancellation. Yes, your health is cut to 1, but if you're able to heal up accordingly, you're able to have a 2-turn absorption solution, and because it's such a low base cooldown, you can definitely inherit something over top of it to solve other issues. Maybe it's a somewhat lowish cooldown as well. Maybe it's like a total of 5-6 turns you have, but you have another type of utility that you need to actually bring to address in the given dungeon. So Kenshin as a whole has become incredibly strong, I'd say, overall, and I'd be nice to have at least multiple copies so you could have at least, 1 of each weapon assist and his base form overall. The leader skill wants you to be reincarnate, super reincarnate, and that's going to be a trend for many of the other cards that are going to be featured here. It looks cool on paper, like the numbers are nice and high, but the problem is populating a team of only reincarnated, super reincarnated cards may not necessarily be the greatest thing overall, unfortunately. And then for his original weapon assist, they gain a combo orb awakening. So just right away, you got more use out of that overall. And along with that, it's a 4-turn cooldown that gives you 1 turn of damage and attribute absorption cancellation. So you're solving many issues here. Yes, it's only 1 turn, but there are definitely lots of instances where it's only 1 turn is actually necessary, and this can definitely make your life much easier overall. Just be mindful that it doesn't overcharge when you don't want it to overcharge, but I feel like this active skill can be quite powerful. So Kenshin is definitely one of the biggest winners from this set here. Gaslowe's original form can deal large amounts of damage, especially when you match a TPA and those poison orbs. But the problem is, using Poison Blessing is not exactly a desirable trade overall. I guess you can make arguments that, sure, on a 2-turn cooldown with 2 Gaslowes, you can spawn Poison Orbs on a regular basis. But the problem is you need to have 5 or more linked Poison Orbs, and you take Heart Orbs away every time. So there's Miriam, I believe, is the other poison leader who is just much better overall because at least, you're making heart orbs, which can make it so you heal up, which is nice. Gaslowe's weapon assist is actually a 100% poison resistance weapon, and it's farmable. So, that's pretty cool when you really think about it. Maybe you need 100% poison resist. This could be a possible solution, and the fact that it's farmable is nice. Probably don't want to use the active skill because it makes poison orbs more likely to appear, which is not quite the best thing overall. And now we come to the Archdemons, and they all have received various buffs, but many of them do utilize leader skills that need to be like either matching two specific colors when their active skill doesn't make those two colors, or they are using reincarnate, super reincarnate. So as leaders, they kind of fall flat because they just don't really function in this day and age. So we're just kind of looking at their usability as a sub. And for Belial, this is not Gung Ho Belial or Ultraman Belial. This is just regular Belial, who is underwhelming, unfortunately. Like, sure, you have double 10 combo, big TPA. You have Rose, kind of a weird mix match in my opinion. He's got a weird Ray of Awakenings. Like, none of them really synergize or make sense in my opinion. And then the problem is the active skill in their reincarnated forms gives you a strong counterattack for 4 turns, and then it changes one color and hazards into their primary color. Like, it's not solving mechanic problems. It's not like movement time buff, RCV, absorption cancellation. Like, it's not providing anything along those lines. So, like, sure, Belial could hit reasonably hard, but the active skill is not solving problems. And in their super reincarnated form, they have even less personal, well, they have less personal damage unless you take the 10 combo super awakening. And their active skill is still that same problematic of like, I don't solve any mechanics. So like, sure, I guess you're kind of cool, Belial. You do have very high stats, I guess, like very high attack stat, but you're not solving problems overall. This follow-up attack feels a little bit out of place as well. For Amon, the Big Owl, in their non-transforming form, similar issue of Awakenings just being all over the place, similar issue of counterattacking being all over the place, really awkward stats unless they get better with the limit break, and their super wings are not really changing what they do. I feel like their super reincarnated form, their transforming state, is the best form because now they have 3 instead of 2 skill boosts, and they give you 2 turns of haste when they transform. So 5 effective skill boosts is never a bad thing. And then this is a monstrously large attack set. That's over 8,000 with pluses. So Amon's going to deal a meaningful amount of damage with their main attribute for sure. Sub-attribute is pretty good too. 777 combo with a 10 combo is 8 times 5 is 40 times personal damage. Not bad at all. It gives you a 3 times attack buff for himself with their active skill on a 2-turn cooldown. That also changes fire and hazards into water. Not a bad active skill at all. It does definitely help close an active skill loop if you know you need orb generation. You're not having like access to like Natsuro Royal Oaks. You need something kind of to plug it in, so to speak. It can be not a bad idea, but obviously it doesn't do much good on like Royal Oak teams because they take fire to water anyways. But point of the matter is, like, I think it's not a bad, it's definitely got stronger with the stats being higher. 1 extra skill was not bad, but it's like, it's, if there's so many strong cards nowadays, I feel like it's hard to like justify the inclusion of some things now at this point. Leader skill is a little different. It gives you 8 seconds of fixed movement time, 4 times HP for water, so 4 times effective health, and you get attack buff and bonus combos when you match 6 or more water orbs. So like, it's not a bad blob leader. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. Astaroth is a little bit different. She gets an RCV buff instead of just the regular counterattack and orb change, so a little bit more zest there. She gets double blob with Rose, combo orb, so all her awakenings are at least synergistic, but I guess unless you need an RCV buffer, she's not going to do too much for your given team overall, but, you know, it's a thing. For her super reincarnated form, it got double 10 combo, still that RCV buff. Big stats now overall. Like, you can make arguments that maybe mono wood teams would want to utilize her. Like, double 10 combo VDP still works well in regular content. Super gravity dungeons, your damage is definitely going to be suffering for the most part, but these are hefty and large attack sets. Like, stats are definitely going up. Like, there's definitely a big stat creep overall. Again, you want to be reincarnated, super reincarnated. Bale, again, features like Rose, TPAs, VDP, 10 combos. There's just awakenings that are all over the place, unfortunately. Again, active skill is not solving mechanics, so I'm not super impressed with these cards overall. Maybe you can make some arguments that with the TPAs, you could have like unmatchable and you could do some cheesy stuff for all of them, but I think it's a bit of a stretch overall. For his super reincarnated form, 4 skill boosts at least, 7, 10 combo, super blind resist, got no 10 combo. I thought it was a 10 combo super ring. Doesn't have that. So like, again, I just don't feel like they're doing too much. Like, sure, maybe there'll be challenges where you want to use like reincarnated, super reincarnated cards. Maybe it's low rarity stuff. Maybe those leader skills might pan out. Archdemon Lucifer, I think, is actually quite exciting because their active skill is great and their awakenings are great too. Like, this synergizes like skill boosts, blob, blob again through Super Awakening. Rose, God Killers. So if you're facing God-type spawns, kind of like what Kenshin's doing, Lucifer's going to do something along that line as well, just a much lower attack stat by comparison. But hey, if you're a God-type spawn, you're probably getting annihilated anyways. But their active skill is actually meaningful. It gives you a little button damage, 3 Dark Orbs, and then Void's attribute absorption and damage absorption for 2 turns if your health is full. So the key is your health has to be full, but if you can ensure that your health is full, there are many ways to possibly circumnavigate that. You can have 2 turns of absorption cancellation on a 6-turn cooldown with a card that actually deals meaningful amounts of damage. Can definitely help out for your blob-based dark teams. Has the devil typing, which means they can be included on like most dark teams that do want to use devil type. So like I think it's actually a pretty nice card overall. Like Lucifer definitely got stronger. You can make arguments that as a leader, it's not a bad leader by any means. Like you get bonus combos, you get respectable amounts of attack multiplier, you get bonus movement time. God devil type should be easy enough to populate. Not a bad card overall when I really think about it. His super reincarnated form just doesn't really fit anywhere, I feel, by comparison. You got crosses, VDP. You got the same active skill, but like I'd much rather have the blob and like the double blob God Killer. Like this just fits the archetype better of where we are at this point in time. So Lucifer definitely got stronger in his non-super reincarnated form. And then all the flamies, bubpies, etc. got various buffs. I don't truly think they are that usable, unfortunately. Again, maybe if there's like say a 5-star rarity challenge, sure. But beyond that, I feel like they don't quite do that much. Like these leader skills are not really that impressive overall. Like it's cool, they get a blob, some of them, but like there's no other personal damage, so like 12 times isn't very much in this day and age. Super bubbly looks cool. Bubbly is my favorite of all the colors because blue is the best color. Woodsy does things too. They're all basically the exact same, all these cards, but they have like a small little active skill that converts one orb to another. It doesn't really solve many problems overall. Like it's just cool that Farmable's got a bit of love and buff, but I don't really foresee myself using it. And now we come to the artist cards, and the artist cards are definitely much more exciting. So the buffs only happen for the 7-star or top rarity, and they've all received something meaningful. For Prim, she has an active skill that gives you 4 times personal damage on a 3-turn cooldown for 1 turn. So like every 3 turns, this Prim is dealing big damage, and you get to pierce through the void, the enemy's damage void, so you can ignore VDP requirements, remove ore blocks, and get light to water and dark to fire, which is important for her leader skill, which has been improved. You get 2 times attack and 1 combo for every group of 5 linked fire, water, or heart orbs. The key is or heart now. So you don't make heart orbs with Prim, but maybe you have other active skills that do make heart orbs, but you are able to now have a much easier time proccing your leader skill because you need to hit 10 or more combos or you're going to die. And when you match 5 or more linked fire, well, exactly 5, I shouldn't say 5 or more, it's exactly 5 fire, water, or hearts, you get 2 bonus combos because I'm assuming dual leader, so a total of 3 combos. So you only need to match a sets of 5 3 times and then 1 other combo somewhere else. And you're able to, trigger your damage reduction, which is 75% damage reduction. So it's 4 times effective health. All the artists are 4 times effective health, so immense bulk or effective bulk overall. And Prim is definitely much more viable. You could match Ls. You don't have to match Ls. It's definitely an option, but you obviously want to match as many 5 connected hearts, fire, and water. But the fact that hearts are included means your multiplier goes up much higher than it used to because you can just get essentially like sky-high multipliers if you have enough orbs. Ateli has an active skill now that increases her damage cap to 3 billion. Instead of 2.14 or so, it's now 3 billion. And the way Ateli works is, she has the same scaling multiplier of matching 4 or more linked orbs. Her attack multiplier can go absolutely through the roof, which means her main attribute and her sub-attribute would be damage capping anyways, and the fact that now her active skill gives you that damage limit increase means that she's dealing 6 billion instead of 4.2 or so. It may not sound like a massive difference, but it could make or break certain spawns where it's like, oh, I'm pushing you into execute, or, oh, I'm actually one-shotting you instead. Buffs are definitely meaningful overall for the most part. I don't have a Telly, but I know people who do have her are quite excited overall. And then finally, Kaishu has gained improved awakenings. He's got the enhanced TPA, so his TPA damage is monstrous overall. And his leader skill now can actually match heart orbs. I find it amusing how they have to abbreviate hard orbs to something else because they filled up the text so much in their leader skill descriptions. But kind of like Prim, you can match light, dark, or hard orbs in exactly 4 to trigger their leader skills reduction, and they need 12 or more combos, which was quite difficult to achieve beforehand potentially, and now with the inclusion of hard orbs, life becomes much easier overall. So definitely big exciting buffs for your artists. If you have Kaishu, Prim, or Ateli and you haven't been using them, maybe it's time to bust them out to, start playing with them, because they're much, well, Ateli's just as hard to play, but Prim and Kaishu are definitely a bit easier to play with the fact that you can match hard orbs. And then lastly, monster box size has been increased from 12 to 15,000. This is not going to be applicable for the vast majority of players, but for some players that were actually at the 12,000 limit beforehand, they couldn't even roll in any egg machine because you can't exceed the monster box limit. So cool, more box space is definitely meaningful. But with that being said, hopefully all you lovely ladies and gentlemen have a truly fantastic day. Let me know which upgrade you think the most meaningful out of this set overall. I think Kenshin, Lucifer, and obviously the artist got quite an exciting buff for the most part, but maybe there's another card that you find exciting. With that being said, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pet adventures, and happy puzzling. On a slightly different note, I do apologize for not uploading as much. I did start a new series of medications, and things have not been going so great in real life, and the medications give me lots of side effects. On the bright side, hopefully after 2 weeks, the side effects start to dissipate, but I also increase my doses after 2 weeks. But that's kind of where I'm at this point in time. But I'm happy to be able to sit in this chair and record something again. Regardless of all of that, happy puzzling again, because more is more.